Hello, and welcome back to Doing the Flipped Classrooms. Today we are actually going to incorporate both 3-2 and 3-3 into this presentation. So we're going to be solving inequalities using addition and subtraction for 3.2, and for section 3.3 we're going to be working with multiplication and division. So let's get started. So adding and subtracting to solve inequalities is the exact same process as adding and subtracting when solving equations. So watch me walk through this one. So now the inequality, x minus 4 is less than 2. Just like when you have to solve an equation, you want to get x, your variable, all by itself. So right now I have x minus 4. Well, in order to get x all by itself, I'm going to add 4 to both sides. And I get x is less than 6. So on your number line, you come down here, you can write 0, 2, 4, 6. And since x is less than 6, it's going to be an open circle. And it's going to be everything to the left of it. So the addition property of inequalities states that for every number a, b, and c, a is greater than b, then a plus c is greater than b plus c. And if a is less than b, then a plus c is less than b plus c. So I want you to try these two right now on your own. X minus 5 is greater than negative 3, and x minus 2 is less than or equal to 6. So for this first one, I'm going to add 5 to both sides, because it's x minus 5, and to get rid of subtraction, I have to add. So I get x is greater than or equal to negative 3 plus 5 gives me positive 2. So on my number line, there's 0, 1, 2. Since it's greater than or equal to, it's going to be a closed circle. And it's everything to the left of it. I mean, to the right of it, sorry, to the right. Because it's everything greater than it. For example, 3. 3 is greater than 2. And 3 would work in this equation because 3 minus 5 is greater than negative 3. Because 3 minus 5 is negative 2. And negative 2 is greater than negative 3. For the bottom one, x minus 2 is less than or equal to 6. Oops. I'm going to add 2 to both sides. I get x is less than or equal to, and then 6 plus 2 is 8. So go to my number line, 2, 4, 6, 8. So I'm going to draw a closed circle because it's less than or equal to, and it's everything that's less than 8. For example, 0. 0 is less than 8. And to show that it works, you could plug 0 into this equation. 0 minus 2 equals negative 2. And negative 2 is less than 6. So it's going to be everything to the left of it. The subtraction property of inequality. For every real number a, b, and c, if a is greater than b, then a minus c is greater than b minus c. And then if a is less than b, a minus c is less than b minus c. And if you're not sure what that means, look at the examples down here. It means if the left side is greater than the right side, whatever you subtract from the left side, you also have to subtract from the right side, and it's still going to make the inequality true. Because over here, 3 minus 2 is 1, and that's greater than negative 1 minus 2, negative 3. Over here, I get negative 5 minus 2 is negative 7, less than 4 minus 2, 2. Negative 7 is less than 2. So now let's try to do it with the subtraction property of inequality. X plus 4 is greater than 9. So I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides, and I get x is greater than 9 minus 4, 5. Here's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And x is greater than it. So it's an open circle. It's everything greater than 5. For example, 6. 6 is greater than 5. And if I plug 6 in here, I get 6 plus 4 is 10, and 10 is greater than 9. Try these two on your own. So if x plus 4 is less than or equal to 2, I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. And I get x is less than or equal to 2 minus 4, negative 2. Okay. 0, 1, negative 2. It's less than or equal to. So it's a closed circle. Everything less than it. X plus 3 is greater than or equal to negative 1. I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. Get x is greater than or equal to negative 4. So here's 0, negative 2, negative 4. X is greater than negative 4. Since it's greater than, I'm going to fill the circle in. It's everything to the right of it. All right, moving on. So now let's talk about solving inequalities using multiplication and division. Solving inequalities using multiplication and division is just like solving equations, except when a negative is involved. But I'm going to get to that in a bit. So let's go through this. First things first, the multiplication property of inequalities. For every real number a, b, and for c greater than 0, meaning c is a positive number. C is positive. And if a is greater than b, then a times c is greater than b times c. And vice versa, if a is less than b, then a times c is less than b times c. So 20 is greater than negative 5, if 4 is greater than negative 1, and negative 30 is less than 15, if negative 6 is less than 3. So let's try a few multiplication problems, not involving a negative. So if x divided by 2 is greater than 3, if I multiply both sides by 2, I get x is greater than 6. 0, 2, 4, 6. X is greater than 6, so it's an open circle. Since it's greater than 6, it's everything larger than 6. So it's everything to the right on the number line. Try these two. X divided by 3 is greater than or equal to 5/6, and y over 4 is less than negative 1. I'm going to multiply both sides by 3, and I get x is greater than or equal to, and 5 times 3 divided by 6, well, that's 15 over 6, or that's going to reduce to 5/2. And the reason why is because I can cross reduce, and this becomes 2, this becomes 1. So x is greater than or equal to 5/2. So I'm going to graph this. Here's 0. 5/2 is the same thing as 2.5, so I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. It's 5/2, so that's about right here. And it's greater than or equal to, so it's a closed circle. And it's everything greater than it. Right there. This is about 5/2. Y divided by 4 is less than negative 1. I multiply both sides by 4. And I get y is less than negative 4. It's everything less than negative 4, so it's an open circle. It's everything to the left of it. It's everything less than negative 4, so everything's smaller than it. The division property of inequalities, A is greater than B for every number A and B, and C greater than 0, A divided by C is greater than B divided by C, and A divided by C is less than B divided by C. So let's try dividing. Try to divide both sides of this equation by 4, because I have 4x is less than or equal to 20. Those 4's are going to cancel out, and I'm left with x is less than or equal to 20 divided by 4 equals 5. So x is less than or equal to 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's less than or equal to, so it's a closed circle. It's everything less than it. All right, try these two on your own. So for this one, divide both sides by 3, and I get x is greater than negative 2/3. So here's 0, here's negative 1/3, here's negative 2/3. And x is greater than, so it's going to be an open circle, and everything larger than negative 2/3, so it's everything to the right of it. For this one, I divide both sides by 0.4, meaning how many times does 0.4 go into 1.2? And the answer is 3. So I get y is greater than 3. For this one, it says 3 is less than y. If it helps, change it so your variable comes first. These two are the same thing. 3 is less than y, or y is greater than 3. Be careful when you're doing these, okay? Make sure you're reading them correctly. Remember, your graph represents everything that's going to make this equation true, everything that's going to make your variable true. 1, 2, 3. So y is greater than 3. So it's an open circle. And it's everything that's greater than 3. So it's everything to the right of it, because everything to the right on the number line is greater than 3. What about negatives, though? When you have an inequality and the variable has a negative coefficient, for example down here, negative 4x, remember the number that comes in front of the variable is your coefficient. When we eliminate the coefficient, the inequality sign gets flipped. Because it's a negative, we have to flip the inequality sign to make the equation true. So, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 4 in this problem. So I get x, and 16 divided by negative 4 is negative 4. But to make this equation true, this inequality true, I have to flip the sign. Notice this was greater than or equal to, now it's less than or equal to. Everything that's less than or equal to negative 4 is going to make this equation true. For example, if I had negative 5, negative 5 is less than or equal to negative 4. So here's my example, and I'll show you why. Let's say x equals negative 5. Well, it holds true for the inequality. That holds true. Good. Now let's plug it in. If I have negative 4 times negative 5, is that greater than or equal to 16? Well, remember, a negative times a negative is a positive, and 4 times 5 is 20, so 20 is greater than 16. And therefore, that's true as well. So, x is less than or equal to negative 4. So here's 0, negative 2, negative 4. X is less than or equal to it, so it's going to be a closed circle. It's everything smaller than negative 4. For example, negative 5. So it's everything to the left of it. Alright, try these few. Remember, when you multiply or divide by negative, you have to flip the sign. So in this one, I'm multiplying by negative 3 to both sides. And I get x, oops, negative 3, there we go. X is less than 2 times negative 3, negative 6. Notice I flipped the sign when I multiplied by a negative. So here's 0, negative 2, negative 4, negative 6. X is less than negative 6, so it's an open circle, and everything less than it. Negative 2y is less than or equal to 14. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2. Now I get y is greater than or equal to negative 7. Here's 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, negative 8, negative 4, negative 2, negative 6. Since it's negative 7, it's going to be in between them. Right there is negative 7. And everything greater than or equal to negative 7, it's everything to the right of it. That's the video. Be sure to take the Kia quiz, and I hope you have a wonderful afternoon/evening.